Fusion rifles are some of the most diverse weapons in Destiny, and over the past few months they've seen a resurgence of interest for PvP. Today let's go over fusion rifles in Destiny and which ones come out on top for Crucible in Year 3. So I wanted to look at fusion rifles by archetype or class, starting with the lesser used low impact fusion rifles and working up to the generally more popular heavy hitters. Let's look at the low impact fusion rifles first, and we'll start by covering the basic pros and cons. Before we go too far though, stability and range will come up a lot in this video, so it's worth noting that stability is important because it helps to affect the grouping of projectiles, which is further affected by the kick when the weapon fires. More stability means tighter grouping, which is always good, but range is also a standout thing because it affects the travel speed of fusion projectiles, so more range means projectiles hit sooner, which is good for both making long range kills, but also helps out on the weapon in general. So the low impact family of fusion rifles feature impact stats between 70 and 79 points, with charge rates of 30 plus points. The benefit of this type of fusion rifle is primarily its rapid charge time, which is good for making responsive kills and dealing with rushing enemies. You also see larger magazine sizes in general on this class of fusion rifle, which is a plus. The main downside being that you require at least 5 and sometimes 6 bolts in order to hit your target for a kill, so you'll need to be really accurate to get regular one-hit kills. You'll also easily lose in engagements if you don't make the kill in that first charge, which makes this type of fusion rifle generally less reliable in terms of damage compared to other types of fusion rifle. In this class though, the Branded Lord from Year 3 Iron Banner is a pretty solid example, featuring base stability of 47 points and range of 42, which is pretty solid in terms of a combination in this archetype, and compared to some others in its class, it features pretty much the best balance of stats. Branded Lord can hit a max range and stability of 65 and 83 points respectively, which is about as good as it gets, and with 4 in the magazine and some pretty healthy equip speed stats, it makes for a really snappy fusion rifle. It's great for dealing with rushers in particular, and it's pretty handy because you can charge the weapon repeatedly for multiple targets. A higher magazine size would be pretty nice, but apart from that, this weapon is in a really great spot, and pretty much all of its weaknesses come from the archetype itself. If you're looking for something similar to the Branded Lord, then xHOUNDISHx, the fusion rifle from the Vanguard, is pretty similar. It features a few points less max range and stability, but equally healthy impact and charge rate stats, plus a decent roll from the vendor. Other weapons in this class include the Split Shifter Pro from the Crucible. It has a very high base stability of 54 and a mag size of 6, but its main weakness is the lower range stat, which won't help reliability. And you also have the Ether Nova fusion rifle from the Wrath of the Machine raid, which has pretty great stats all around, but has fixed bonuses with the Duo Army of 1 perk, which make it somewhat limited. There's one exotic fusion rifle in this family, the Telesto, which sits right at the lowest impact of 71 points, but has okay base range and incredibly high stability stats. The key thing about Telesto is its Unplanned Reprieve exotic bonus, which detonates projectiles from the weapon after they've attached to a target. It's a pretty fun weapon to use in any activity, and it works out okay in PvP, the downside being that as well as the charge time, you have bonus downtime even after you fire at a target because you have to wait for the rounds to detonate. This makes the weapon far less appealing for top tier play, but generally it's not a bad weapon and it's pretty unique. Up next though, we have the mid-impact types of fusion rifle, weapons with between 80 and 89 points of impact and charge rates between 20 and 29 points. These fusion rifles literally offer the best of both worlds between how fast they fire and how much damage they put out. They have a generally higher chance of one-hit killing than the low-impact archetype, but always require 5 bolts for a kill. This is a very balanced class of fusion rifle with great stats for PvP. So in terms of legendaries, one of the standout Year 3 weapons has to be the Stellar Vestige, which comes from Trials of Osiris. With an impact of 87 and a charge rate of 22 points, it can put out some really nice damage, and it features some very solid base stability at 56 points with a base range of 38 points, which is a couple of points lower than something like Ashraven's Flight from last year's Iron Banner, which is also right up there in terms of legendaries in this class. But either way, Stellar Vestige can still hit 63 max range points and features Reinforced Barrel as well as Rangefinder, which are great fusion rifle perks, and these come as standard on the weapon, which make it pretty beastly for its class. The one downside here being that it has a fixed zoom style scope, which isn't strictly bad, but just won't be for everybody. If you still have Ashraven's Flight from last year, then the stats for this weapon are pretty excellent on the whole. I won't go into it too much in this video since it's no longer obtainable, but if you wanted to find something similar, then Each New Day, the fusion rifle from the Crucible vendor, or Worlds to Come from Dead Orbit are both pretty solid weapons. They have great stability, but slightly lower range than Stellar or Ashraven's Flight, but you can pick them up at the vendor, so that's pretty awesome. The great thing about the fusion rifles we've looked at here is that they have great stats all around, and being at the upper end of the impact stats in this class, they have a great damage profile, which really helps if you're hitting shielded targets or revive killing, yet the weapons still come with those great charge times. At the lower end of the impact class in this family of fusion rifles, you also have things like Susanoo, which is the Warlock exclusive, and the Techion Rage fusion rifle, which can still be obtained from the Challenge of Elders. And this one has a slightly higher charge rate at 26 points with 82 impact, very nice stability and aim assist in particular, the only weakness being the 35 points of base range, which you can compensate for, so Techion Rage is a pretty solid weapon as well. The exotic offering in this archetype is the Plan C, and it has the same charge rate and impact profile as the Stellar Vestige with very high stability and maxed out reload and equip speeds. Its exotic bonus allows you to fire the weapon more or less immediately when you switch to it from another weapon, which is a very powerful bonus if you use it properly, enabling you to react almost instantly to unexpected threats. The Plan C is a monstrous fusion rifle, and if you don't currently use it, then you should absolutely give it some time, especially if you want to get into fusion rifles. So finally we're on to the heavy hitter or high impact class of fusion rifles, weapons with between 90 and 100 points of impact and charge rate as low as 10 points. This kind of fusion rifle rewards great timing, they do an absolute ton of damage but charge very slowly, which leaves you more vulnerable in engagements. Many fusion rifles in this class can kill in just 4 bolts, so the upside is that one-hit kills as well as ranged kills are far more regular with these weapons, but of course you have those long charge times, and if you miss a shot, you'll often lose the gunfight. So the standout weapon which everyone thinks about in this class is the SALADINS VIGIL. SALADINS VIGIL is a 94 impact fusion rifle with a charge rate of 16 points, and the standout stats are the great stability of 71 points along with the solid aim assist values, as well as the maximum range of 64, which is pretty respectable. SALADINS VIGIL absolutely destroys if you land your shots, and you can get some really long range kills with the weapon as well because of the great stability and range combination. Statistically, it's just a fantastic fusion rifle. You do also have weapons like the 77 Wizard though, which drops from the Crucible. It features impact of 97 points combined with a lower charge time of just 13 points, which will take a while to get used to. The big thing for the 77 Wizard though is the max range stat of 70 points, which is pretty insane. You can also hit stability of 77 points again, which is really high, and I really like that you can max out the stats in whichever direction you prefer. In comparison to the SALADINS VIGIL, the downsides are that the 77 Wizard has a mag size of 4 versus 5 on the SALADINS VIGIL, and the Wizard also has very low aim assist and equip times, which certainly affect the weapon. Either way though, I feel like these are two of the best high impact fusion rifles in year 3. Thisan FR4 is a particularly great fusion rifle as well. It has the same 94 points of impact that you get with SALADINS VIGIL, but a slightly faster charge speed of 18 points. The standout statistic here is the incredible 81 points of stability, making the Thisan a laser beam, but you can still get those great range buffs, which give the Thisan some of the best stats overall. Not to mention it's an Arms Day order, so anybody can pick it up and have a chance at great rolls. Darkblade Spite is also a solid weapon in this family, featuring very good range at 47 points, meaning you can focus on stability bonuses as well and hit 80 plus points of stability just like this San. The big downside for this weapon is that you'll see a charge rate of just 12 points, which can be pretty painful and probably means that a good 77 Wizard is a better option. Nonetheless, these comprise of pretty much the best high impact fusion rifles inside of year 3, and that pretty much sums it up. So the weapons I've mentioned in this video are, pretty much statistically the best weapons in each of these different classes, and they're also weapons that I have some experience with. So let me know down below in the comments anyway, what are your favorite fusion rifles to use? If you have any awesome rolls, it'd be cool to hear about those as well. If you have enjoyed this video, a like is always appreciated below, and if you're new to the channel, be sure to hit subscribe for a lot more Destiny content. But for now, you guys have an awesome day.